All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Samurai Brothers podcast. This is our recording date is August 14th, Matthew, and we've come a long ways, I think.
Episode 22.
Episode 22 of the podcast. And we had to take a little break trying to get back on track with life a bit after our Hawaii trip, but we're trying to get things done and all. So lots of busy things coming up for this upcoming fall. As you know, the main thing I guess that'll make us pretty busy is being involved with wrestling and things like that, because that's when the wrestling season starts. But anyway, Matthew, hope everything's been going well, and so we've got quite a few things to discuss today in our episode, and I think we had a few UFC Fight Nights that happened, and I believe that you would have watched both of them. Is that correct?
At
least one of them.
Actually, I had things going on, but I do know what the significance are. So the one that happened, not this weekend, but the previous weekend, is significant in that it's one of the few events with 100% finish rate.
Okay, well, that's quite something. You don't see that happen too often, or at least majority of finishes. But so after
at least in the modern era, because back when it was all the events were just tournaments, you had 100% finish rates because that's the only way that the fights could end with the rudimentary rules. So, but nowadays it's So in the modern era, this is only the second fight to have 100% finish rate.
Wow. Okay. And then also, as me and Matthew have been discussing over the couple of times, I have completed my entry submissions and all that stuff. So I will be competing in the U.S. Sumo Open that's coming up in September. So we'll kind of talk about how things are going with that and how I'm trying to prepare for this type of event. And then Matthew, over the last couple of weeks, he took a trip to Las Vegas, and Matthew is involved with micronation type stuff, and there was a sporting event, so we'll be getting into that, and then we'll close out the episode with the latest chapter of Onepiece. This was chapter 1056, and it has significant implications to how the story is going to progress in the future. So it's going to be really interesting to discuss this, Matthew. I'm sure that, and you probably have a lot to say about it on what happened during that episode. So let's get right into it then. We'll talk about the first event that happened while we were away and stuff, and that would be the UFC Fight Night that happened on August 6th at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it was deemed Santos versus Hill. So I'll go ahead and screen share that so that we can kind of start getting into that really quick. So hopefully, Matthew, you can see the window screen here, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's get right into it then. So we had this is the Santos versus Hill. So I'm gonna just kind of read through them really quick to see what we had, and then Matthew, anything that would stand out to you in terms of what this could mean in terms of ranking or possible challenges for titles. If you'll fill me in after I go through all the results. So in the prelims, you had the women's bantamweight. Mayra Bueno Silva versus Stephanie Egger. Silva from Brazil, Egger from Switzerland, and Silva had a first-round stoppage by submission at 1 minute and 17 seconds, so that's quite something. The next match, women's strawweight, Corey McKenna of the UK versus Miranda Granger from the US. And this was the second round stoppage at 1:03 by submission. So that right there continued the what was happening here. You had a men's welterweight bout, Brian Battle versus Takashi Sato from Japan. And this was a first round stoppage at 44 seconds by way of knockout / TKO. Sam Alvey from the United States versus Mikhail. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I think it's Aleksejczuk. Is probably how I would pronounce it, from Poland. And he got the win in the first round at 1:56 by knockout. So this was a pretty fast prelims, and I'm very sure that they were probably having issues with trying to keep up with the ads and stuff, the commercials rolling around, as you probably would know, Matthew.
Oh yeah, definitely, because they have to, because if you average it out, a fight on average between the fight and the commercials and everything like that, you would expect it to take up like half an hour, which is why a lot of the televised prelims, they're scheduled for 2 hours with 4 fights each. But if you're like finishing up like this, all of a sudden it's just like, okay, and they might have to start plugging in some of the prelims that took place in the earlier spots, especially when you look at the fact that the prelims were also on ESPN, which makes it kind of challenging. So they basically have to like fill in extra
right, and on
commercial
a fight
time,
and on a fight night, they don't have a full 15 fights or whatever. They're gonna have just a few prelims and then a main card.
It depends on the fight night, because you have to remember, fight nights are longer. The pay-per-views are only have 5 fights nowadays, but the fight nights are gonna have like 6.
All right. So then we got into the
the prelims are gonna be a little tad bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
No, the fight nights are usually expected to be a tad bit longer because you're stuffing, a combination of veterans and up and comers onto the same card.
So then we had Terrence McKinney of the U.S. versus Eric Gonzalez of the U.S. And again, a first round stoppage by submission at 2:17. So Matthew, the average, time of these matches probably aren't even going 3 minutes at this point, because 5 fights in, we've only had one match go a full round of 5 minutes. All these other ones, are finishing less than 3 minutes into the fight. So again, this is a real commercial nightmare for ESPN, I can imagine.
Yeah, they're basically having to think, oh my gosh, commercial. So, and they're having to do long things. They're having to do commentary. They're probably rerunning a lot of the stuff that they're normally having to run with, like the backstage, like interviews and stuff like that. So it's a nightmare because they're having to fill in airtime, for a fight. They're having to fill in 25 minutes for a fight that lasted, less than 5, and it's just like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna drag this out?
So then we'll get into the second fight, which was Augusto Sakai from Brazil versus Sergey Spivak from Moldova. And this one went a little bit longer. This is the longest fight of the night so far. It was a second round stoppage of a knockout TKO at 3:42 of the round. So this is the longest fight so far at 8:42. So then we'll go to the next one real quick. Women's flyweight, Brogan Walker of the U.S. versus Juliana Miller, also of the U.S. And
I'm going to put a common emphasis. So this fight and the next fight, the heavyweight fight, were both the finales for this season of The Ultimate Fighter, which was Team Pena versus Team Nunez, which the coaches fight was the title fight in the pay-per-view between Amanda Nunez and Juliana Pena. So I'm going to say that obviously Amanda Nunez won the coaches fight where she took back the title, but this is actually both the women's and the men's heavyweight were won by Team Pena. So in terms of the coaching, Team Pena won.
That's right. Juliana Miller scored a stoppage at 3 minutes 57 seconds of the third round. So this is...
I'm honestly surprised that both of these fights ended in finishes, considering most of the fights this season of the Ultimate Fighter were decisions. It was kind of... I had a lot of other stuff going on, which is why I didn't do I didn't do weekly reviews. I'm just going to do one block review sometime this week on MMA Freak about it. But most of the fights were decisions, and it's kind of hard to be motivated by a season like that. But it's like you finally ended it with a bang. It's like, why couldn't you guys do this most of the season?
All right, so we have this is also the heavyweight bout. Muhammad Usman from Nigeria versus Zach Pauga from the U.S. and this was a stoppage by knockout TKO in the second round, 36 seconds in. So that was quite something.
Of note, Muhammad Usman is the younger brother of current UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman.
Okay. So
both Usman brothers are in the UFC now.
So we have a ranked fighter now in the welterweight bout. Jeff Neal of the U.S. versus Vicente Luque, also the U.S. And this was a stoppage.
I believe this is pronounced Luque.
Luque? Okay.
Yeah.
So third round stoppage, 2 minutes, 1 second, knockout TKO. And surprisingly, it looks like Vicente was the favorite, which is interesting. But you would think that the ranked wrestler fighter is going to be the favorite in this case. But looks like, but still, Jeff Neal as the ranked opponent took out.
Well, if there's anything I've learned is that the rankings and the odds making don't always line up.
Okay. All right. So then this was our main event. Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill in the light heavyweight match. And this was a stoppage, knockout TKO in the fourth round. So this was officially the longest fight of the night. And it was also awarded by Dana, obviously, as fight of the night. And Jamal Hill wins by TKO, knockout. Ranked number 10. So, Matthew, again, now, obviously, there's a lot going on here. So, as you said, this was, probably in the modern era then, that this is the first time that there's been an event that's had full stoppages.
Actually, this is the second event.
Second event?
Yeah, there was one, I'd like to say during the Fox era, where there was a 100% finishes, but they don't happen very often.
No, especially when you've got, because this card had at least 10 matches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. Yeah, so 10 matches on the card. Yeah, that's pretty hard to get finishes on all 10. So, gotta imagine.
The judges were not being paid to completely score a bout. They were being paid to be there. But an
easy night for them. Definitely.
Well, and this is one of those times where you never want to leave it in the hands of the judges. You and I have both watched fights where the judging didn't go, and that's just going to happen because judges are humans, and they're also stuck on specific parts of the cage. So, and they, some of them, even to this day, aren't completely, trained in judging grappling, which I really do think that, you shouldn't, if a guy is just purely a boxing judge, he shouldn't be, scoring an MMA bout. I really do think there should be higher standards for that. And, that has been happening because both Herb Dean and John McCarthy run MMA judging schools, but it's still far from perfect. But of course, yeah, but it's nice to see that don't leave it to the judges to quite a literal meaning here.
To an extreme, I'd say. So Matthew, then, out of these fights, are there anything related to maybe moving up? Could these fighters, Jamal Hill and Jeff Neal, could they be moving up the rankings? Not really at this point.
Neal is still going up there. He's still kind of an up-and-comer in the UFC. So I would say that he's probably not, obviously ranked number 13. He's probably not going to get a title shot in his next match. He'd probably get, in a match or two, he might get a like a match or two. He might determine whether he fights for the title, but he's still up and coming. He's still got, I would say conservatively, at least 2 more fights, realistically probably 3 or 4. So if he keeps winning, contention for the title probably isn't going to happen for, I'd say, another realistically 1.5 years off. Okay. But I've been wrong before.
All right, got it. So that concludes Santos versus Hill.
And Santos, it previously fought for the title. Hill is another one of those. I can't remember if he was a Dana White looking for a fight guy or if he was a Contender Series guy, which are other alternative ways in which the UFC nowadays scouts their up and coming fighters. Because it used to be that the Ultimate Fighter was the sole, well, not the sole source, but it was one of the ways in which they would pick up fighters. And nowadays, it's generally not the most preferred method. And it actually went on hiatus shortly after the signing with the ESPN deal. So, it's... Yeah, so there's other ways of finding their fighters, especially because of the fact that with the Ultimate Fighter it was only it was only 1 or 2 weight classes per season. The nice thing nowadays is that, well, right now we have the Contender Series going underway. And actually, Dana White's been picking less fighters than he was. There were times when he was picking all 5 fighters on the fight cards. I should note that the Contender Series, they're short fight cards. They're like no more than, I think the largest I've seen is probably 6. And that's large. The average is probably about 5. So, last year he was handing out 3 contracts on the events, 4 contracts on the events, 5 contracts on the events. There was one time where he handed a contract out to a loser. So last year he was going all willy-nilly handing out contracts. This year, so far, he's only been handing out like 1 or 2 per fight card. But I think that partially has to do with the fact that there haven't been a whole lot of finishes this season. And, you know, if these guys have watched the Contender Series, they know you have to go in there, and if you don't finish, you need to, like, swing for the fences and kind of show you want to be there.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on to the next fight night that we had, which took place last night, I believe. And that was Vera versus Cruz. So Dominic Cruz in action. And so let's take a look at what happened here. So in the prelims, we had Yusuf Zalal from Morocco versus Damon Blackshear from the U.S. And this was a split decision for this fight, and it went to a draw. So I don't see draws happening too often in MMA in general. And I mean, do they still allow them, Matthew?
Well, they never well, let's see. I guess it would depend on when the I guess it would depend on like the promotion and stuff like that, because I think it was almost impossible in the early days of the UFC where they had 3 judges and it was either a win or a lose. There was no draws. So it's either gonna be a 2-1 or 3 unanimous victory. Again, I think in Pride it was almost impossible. Except when they came over to Nevada and they're having to do unified rules. So they had to do the 10 must scoring system.
I mean, because
it is possible to get a draw. If you do like a 10-10 or you have like a 10-8 round and another guy but the guy comes back and does 10-9, 10-9, it's still possible. There are ways in which it's possible. Point deduction, you know, whatever it is still possible to have a draw.
Okay. And then our next match, which was a catchweight bout. So, not sure who missed the weight, but this would have been Jason Witt of the U.S. versus Josh Quinlan, also the U.S. But it ended up being a first round knockout TKO at 2 minutes and 9 seconds by Josh Quinlan. And then when we go over to, we have performance of the night at a flyweight bout, Ode Osborne from Jamaica versus Tyson Nam of the United States. And this ended up being a knockout TKO by Tyson Nam at 2 minutes and 59 seconds in the first round. At lightweight, we had Gabriel Benitez from Mexico versus Charlie Ontiveros from the U.S., and this was a win at 3 minutes and 33 seconds by knockout TKO by Gabriel Benitez. So we're going to go up here, and we have Cynthia Calvillo from the U.S. versus Nina Nunes, also from the U.S., and she won by a split decision. Nina Nunes, that is, wins by a split decision. Still looks like we're still some prelims. So heavyweight bout, Martin Buday from Slovakia versus Lukas Breski from Poland. And another split decision goes the way of Martin Buday. And then last match of the prelims, Angela Hill of the U.S. versus Lupi Godinez from Mexico. And Angela Hill gets a unanimous decision to take that match. So let me read into here. We'll go right into this really quickly. Main card, Bruno Silva of Brazil versus Gerald, I think this is pronounced Mearshart. And it was Gerard who got the submission in round 3, minute 39 seconds. Women's bantamweight, Priscilla, I think it's pronounced Cachoeira from Brazil versus fellow countrywoman Ariane Lipski, also from Brazil. But this was finished really quickly, minute and 5 seconds knockout TKO for Priscilla Cachoeira. Devin Clark of the United States versus Azamat Murzakanov of Russia in the light heavyweight bout, and this was a win for the Russian at 1 minute and 18 seconds into the third round, knockout TKO. And this is an interesting one, Matthew. Yasmin Jaraguay from Mexico versus Yasmin Lucindo of Brazil. So it's the battle of the Yasmins. Anyway, it went the full distance, but it was a unanimous decision for Yasmin Jaraguay of Mexico. And let's get into fight of the night. Bout ended up it being the featherweight bout. Nate Landwehr from the U.S. versus David Onama from Uganda. And this is interesting because it was looks like this was a decision majority. Now, what's the difference between a split decision and a decision majority? Is there a difference? Because I saw a split decision down here. Yes, this one right here.
A split decision is two were two for one fighter, one for the other fighter. A majority decision is two for one fighter and a draw. So compared to normal, the rest were being very draw happy.
Interesting. And this is our main event, Marlon Vera versus Dominic Cruz in the bantamweight bout. And it ended up being a knockout TKO by Marlon Vera in round 4, 2 minutes 17 seconds. So, Matthew, any takeaways from this fight card?
Most of these guys were either up and comers or established veterans, and they're either trying to stay in the UFC or they're trying to stay relevant in the title picture, trying to establish a name for themselves. The only one that had some kind of title implications was maybe the main event, except for the fact that neither of these guys are ranked. Dominic Cruz, we know, of course, is the former champion. Marlon Vera is an up and comer. Definitely in contendership. I don't know why they aren't listed, but I've never really considered rankings as an indication. I do it for MMA Freak, but I really do think they're kind of arbitrary. But because even Dana White once said that the rankings are. Well, the thing with the UFC rankings is they still get them from journalists. So I could technically, considering I'm a journalist, be apply to and do contribute to the UFC rankings. So they're arbitrary. They're based off of opinion. That's kind of how things go, but any ranking system is based off of opinion, really. So,
okay.
I would say if this doesn't get him into the next spot for challenging, who's the champion right now?
Good question. Since I don't follow it too much.
Let's see. Davison Figueiredo is the flyweight champion. Alexander Volkanovski. Oh, Aljamain Sterling. I mean, it moves him closer to challenging Aljamain Sterling for the title. Does this get him the next title shot? I'm not completely certain, but he's definitely within that range. If this doesn't get him the title shot, I would say next win or two.
All right. So
obviously he has to keep winning. So I would say if he keeps winning within the next year and a half, he'll be challenging for a title.
All right. So Matthew, what is the next big event for?
The next big event is actually the next pay-per-view, which is UFC 278, and it's Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2, because I think these two fought when they were not when Usman was not the champion. This is Leon Edwards' first title shot. And yeah, they fought back in 2015, so 7 years ago, man. Where did the time go? So yeah, I'm gonna make a prediction that I think it's gonna be Usman. I think he's just on a roll right now. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long he can reign as champion. Let's see. I don't think he is quite near GSP's. Yeah, he's defended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't. Let's see. How many times did GSP defend? I'd like to say that I'd like to see that GSP's streak was like 8 or something like that. So Usman's not there yet. I would say he could get there. Whether he would keep going after that is another thing entirely, because GSP just got burnt out essentially, which is why he didn't
bother to defend
it's the middleweight was another thing entirely. He just got burnt out after the Johnny Hendricks fight, and that's he needed time away, and then he experimented in the acting.
Oh yeah, in acting, and then he comes back and he wins the middleweight,
and just retires after that. Let's see, Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold, what has Luke Rockhold been doing? I don't know why he keeps on fighting. I mean, he's done a lot of modeling.
Okay, so we got a lot of
Jose Aldo versus Merab Davishvili. This could be another one of those passing of the torches, because Merab Davishvili, I watched that episode of Dana White searching for a fight. Back when I kept watching the show, I probably should maybe try to start watching it again. I'd have to play a lot of catch up though, because I just got burnt out watching it after a while. But Marcin Tibura, Alexander Romanov. There's a decent number of up and comers and veterans. Decent number.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be interesting. All right. Well, good to know. Anything coming up in Bellator before we move on to our next?
Bellator just had a Friday night event, which I did watch. I just watched that. Why in the heck am I drawing a blank on that? Neiman Gracie. You may not know the first name. The last name should be very familiar.
Okay, so he's part of the Gracie clan.
Yeah. I'd like to say he might be Henzo's son. But yeah, so Neiman Gracie, who has challenged for the Bellator title, he's not gotten quite up there yet. It's like he gets close to the title, and then it's like when he's in the title fight, he chokes. But he's definitely been one of the more high-profile Gracies in recent years. For some reason, in the modern, like, true mixed martial arts era, they haven't been able to excel because, well, let's face it, they're grapplers. It's just adjusting and getting their striking in has been the problem. It seems like Neiman has been the one who's like that close to like getting up there. Though to be fair, Roger Gracie was a champion in ONE FC. So maybe he could be considered. But yeah, nowadays it's Neiman. Neiman is like essentially the next hopeful Gracie, but he hit a little bit of a roadblock when he lost to Goiti Yamauchi.
All right. Well, I'll have to see how things are going to go then, right?
Yeah. Let's see. The next one is gonna be next month because right now they're just doing one a month.
All right.
I think in the fall they'll start doing twice a month. One thing always to remember about Bellator, they don't have as deep a roster. The UFC has, oh boy,
quite a roster.
I would say like a 500 fighter deep roster.
Yeah.
Bellator maybe has 200, maybe. PFL, which they had their what finals this last weekend? Their semifinals for welterweight, and I'd like to say light heavyweight. And Rory McDonald lost and retired.
All right. Well, let's start moving into the next topic.
Oh, Bellator. PFL next weekend. Kayla Harrison is of course going for I believe championship season number 3.
Got it.
She needs to win that fight to get into the finals.
All right, so let's move into that. So that concludes our MMA talk for this episode. So Matthew, let's get into an interesting event coming up, and that is going to be the US Sumo Open, the 22nd tournament, according to the website.
Of note, that's not sequential because, for obvious reasons, 2020 didn't happen.
Actually, it did.
It did?
Yes, it did.
Under what conditions? Was there no one there?
They had no spectators. And they had it in a very smaller, like gym kind of place.
So it's like a dojo almost.
Yeah, literally. So anyway, and then they had it at a. So
I'm impressed because there wasn't a Sumo World Championship in 2020, right?
I don't know. I'd have to go back and double check. But apparently, yeah, they had this one. So anyway, traditionally, it's always been held at Walter Pyramid, which is the gym for Cal State Long Beach in Southern California. So they will be. So last 2 years, they did not have it at this arena, but this year it is coming back to Cal State Long Beach. So that's going to be an interesting thing. So I'm excited about it because I'm going to be able to, again, I was able to get my submission paperwork in and stuff. So I'm signed up. I'm good to go. I will be competing in the middleweight class, which is up to 100 kilos, which is 220 pounds. So I'm excited to see how that did. I did go to the practice today, and you had like Yamamoto Yama was there again. He goes by Yama now, which means mountain. So an interesting thing, and got to learn more stuff and had some interesting matches today. So I'll be excited to see how it's going to go from there. I'm thinking if I can at least get one win at this event, I'll be really happy. Since I only started, doing this. This is only my second practice today, but I'm really excited about this. But yeah, just to kind of.
And the last time before that you practiced sumo was when you were literally a kid.
Yeah, in that sense, yes, that would be correct. So
yes, I should know because I was at that same practice.
Yep. So anyway, just a bit of some pictures of what you can expect to see, and there will be international competitors there. Apparently, there's going to be a Mongolian team there, so that should be interesting. And then a couple of teams from Europe, apparently, and maybe even some teams from South America. So
I didn't know that the U.S. Open was this big of a tournament. So it sounds like the biggest thing outside of the actual World Championship.
So yes, and one thing, well, although one thing you gotta know about this is that, so I'm in a lighter weight class, so my weight class is apparently not gonna be that big. So hey, maybe I might have a chance at placing somewhere. And you can probably guess that the
I'm kind of surprised considering that there's been some notable sumo Rikishi in your weight range.
Yeah, but how many of them get up into the Sekitori ranks? That's a whole nother ball game. Like the guy who would be technically in the same weight class as me is Enho.
Oh, okay.
All the other guys, all the other, like Ishiura, Kotoeko, Tobizaru, those guys are weighing more than 220. They're more like 250. So they'd be like light heavyweight, if they were competing in this tournament. So there's that. I do have and you might not be able to see the, so this is the flyer, and it features two wrestlers who matched up last year. And apparently this was the heaviest matchup in the history of the event. Because actually, on the right you have, and I've been able to meet this person at the practices, and this is Jose Galindo. So he won the heavyweight and the open weight tournaments for 2 years running, which is that's pretty good. So and I think this the wrestler on the left is from Europe, but anyway, he's a ranked guy in the worldwide. So you got like 900 pounds clashing. So I mean, remember gosh, what was his name? Emmanuel Yarbrough, Matthew?
Yeah. He was 800 pounds when he won the world championship.
Certified as the largest athlete ever. Certified, because hey, he was in pretty decent shape, I would think. But anyway, R.I.P. to Emmanuel.
I don't know if you could call a man who's 800 pounds in decent shape.
Anyway, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen. There's going to be
I'm surprised that he was able to move around, let alone win a
yeah
world
title.
Yeah,
world title. So anyway, a couple more weekends before the event. So it will be on September 10th at Long Beach State Walter Pyramid. So I think when we put this video up, we'll try and if you're interested in coming to watch, please do come watch it. You get to see some you'll get to see some pretty good guys coming in because a lot of these international wrestlers will be world ranked wrestlers and stuff. So that's pretty something. We'll put a link in the description for the U.S. Sumo event if you're interested in buying tickets to it.
Like I said, I might have to attend next year.
So yeah, Matthew, I am
compete.
I am trying to. I actually asked if maybe there's some sumo clubs up in your area, and apparently there's two brothers. They have a makeshift dojo, but they're in Bakersfield, so I don't know if that's going to be
How long does it take for you to get to Torrance?
It took me, I think, like 35, 45 minutes. So
Yeah, it takes an hour to get to Bakersfield.
yeah, I mean, if you're serious about it, definitely you learn stuff. Hey, maybe if you're visiting down one time, maybe we'll actually, because you'll need a mawashi, so we could just get you the mawashi while you're down here. We can go to a practice. Hey, I'd like to see you get out there. Yeah,
I think
for
that would
sure.
make more sense. I did actually lose a little bit of weight. Not that that really helps me, because I forgot what's the lightweight division.
So lightweight division is 85 kilos and below, which I believe, if I were to calculate that, 187.
Oh yeah, I'm well below that.
So you could,
I recently lost 5 pounds and I'm down to like 179 right now. So
oh, good for you.
wait, yes, weigh-ins for that would not be an issue.
Yeah, I think in my case, I would probably, well, obviously I'll be middleweight this year, but if I want to get on track, and then maybe I can be, I'll be lightweight for next year. So we'll see. We'll
I
see how.
forgot you walk around at like what, 200 right now?
I think, yeah, last time I was on the scale, I was 200. So
That's only 13 pounds.
yeah, in a year, yeah,
Yeah.
that won't be an
And if
issue.
you absolutely had to, you could get down to maybe 190 and then you just don't eat or drink for
I'd
the
rather
evening.
not do that, but
You'd rather not go back to weight cutting?
no. Well, right now I'm starting off. I'm exercising and stuff. I'm doing some exercises, in the evenings. I really want to get back into the gym though, so I can lift weights. And then I think though, definitely, even though sumo is like really quick type stuff, from what I've been learning about going to these practices and stuff, and normally it's it almost runs like Japanese keiko, where you'll have two wrestlers that'll go at each other for maybe 3 or 4 matches, and that can really gas you once you start getting into that third or fourth match. So definitely, cardio is an issue. If you want to really, you know, um, that's why sumo wrestlers try to finish their matches really quickly, because if you end up, going the distance, that's going to really take the wind out of you. So I would definitely.
Well, the thing about sumo is that it's pretty much an anaerobic sport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, you're using your muscles a lot, which is, let's face it, when we were wrestlers, cardio is king.
Yes, it was.
It's like strength definitely plays a factor, but cardio is king. So.
So yeah, here they are. Jose Galindo, 6'1", 420 pounds, heavyweight gold and open weight gold in 2020 and 2021, and then Rami Elgazar, who was his opponent, 6'3", 492 pounds, and he took the heavyweight gold in 2015, but he's medaled 9 times. So, again, yes, that was 900 pounds, clashing. You want to talk about Clash of the Titans, Matthew.
Yeah, that's a literal Clash of the Titans there.
So, anyway.
Mongolian, 181.53. Oh, so he's like me.
Means he's probably, a bit buff. Yeah. So, yeah, a couple of these guys. So, it'll be interesting to see how this is really going to go down. But, so I'll keep you posted.
Games 4th.
Yep.
Heavyweight silver, 21.
All right. So, yep, that's how that is going. So, Matthew, let's get into your event that you had, which was your attendance of the Micronation Olympics that happened.
Well, the primary event that I was going to was MicroCon, which is short for Micronational Convention this year. But yeah, one of the events that was held there was it functioned as the Micronational Olympics, but it was officially called the Nemean Games.
Okay.
And that's actually based off of, so the ancient Olympic Games was actually part of what was called the Olympic cycle. So the Olympics would, so the Olympic cycle would actually end on the fourth year with the Olympics. So the first year of the rotation, you had two festivals that happened every 2 years. One of them was called the Nemean Games. I don't know what the second one was called, or I forgot. Then you had another event the second year that happened every 4 years, just like the Olympics. Again, I forget what it was called. Then you had the third year, which was the Nemean Games, and then another event. And then you had the Olympics. So the Nemean Games were named after that 2-year cycle, which made more sense because aside from next year, MicroCon takes place every 2 years.
Interesting.
But yes, basically it signaled my return to the mat after, let's see, 2011. So 11 years.
Gosh, it's really been 11 years. So you last wrestled when you were at Mobap, and then you didn't really wrestle that. You didn't really
I didn't hit the mat after that. I coached for a few years, and then, I just concentrated on working.
Okay. And yeah. So anyway, so how did you do? Because I know that.
Well, there was only one other guy in the wrestling category. So there were originally planned 5 events. There was wrestling, shot put with a tennis ball, discus with a frisbee, the 50-meter dash, and there was going to be 5-a-side soccer. But the official forgot to bring the soccer ball. So we just had 4 events, not including bowling the last day.
So did you compete in all of them?
Yes, I competed in all the events. So that's how I did in wrestling.
Oh, good for you.
I had one other guy. He'd only done varsity wrestling 1 year in high school, and I took him down and pinned him in 10 seconds.
So what was the style?
Freestyle.
So it was freestyle. Okay.
Yeah, it says right
Oh,
there.
okay. I didn't see that. Yeah. Okay.
And then there is actually video of this.
Oh, so will you be putting it up on our channel?
Here, what of you? Well, no, there isn't video of the match, but there is video of this event.
Oh, I can't. Oh, the 50-meter.
Yeah.
Okay. So you medaled in that one.
Yes, 5 guys, and I managed to finish. Well, to be fair, so this is interesting. One of the guys who was there is an actual certified track and field official. So he actually ran the 3 track events, and the 50-meter dash, there was a shove. So one of the guys got DQ'd.
Oh, really?
Yes, which is why I ended up in 3rd.
Oh, gosh. Okay. By the way,
we were all pretty close, so.
Who did you get to officiate the wrestling match?
One of the other guys.
Oh, did he have knowledge of wrestling?
The basic knowledge, yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
yeah, that was my return to wrestling, and next year we're apparently because of how well it went, it is gonna come back next year, and there will be more events added, and I met this one gal who apparently wrestled in Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was a military brat just like us, so she did whatever the European version of that was. I don't know how.
Should have been freestyle.
Oh, it was freestyle. So she
Yeah.
says she's interested in competing next year.
Hopefully there'll be someone who will be her opponent. So.
The plan is that it would probably be an open division.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because there's just not a whole lot of people.
Well, okay, so you had fun at this at MicroCon then.
Yeah, and then the rest of it went pretty well, and it was fun, and I got this.
That's the medal or the.
Here, let me take it out of the thingy.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, so here's the thing about the Nemean Games. I was the organizer.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I got this for organizing the event, and I also got a friendship medal from one of the other nations for organizing the event. So
good for you. Good
yeah, it was like one of 5 decorations, or I got like 5 awards there. 2 of them were because of my organizing the Nemean Games. So
all right.
And then there was bowling the last day, and I made it an official event, and I got to over 100 games.
Good for you. I always consider an over 100 game to be a successful game in my book.
Yeah, same here. So
anyway, well, good for that.
But the winners were like in the 130s and 140s. So
well, Matthew, you'll have to update us the next year when the event happens again, and we'll have to see how your endeavors go. But hopefully, Matthew, you can look forward hopefully this will inspire you to try and do some more freestyle events and stuff too, like I'll trying to be doing.
Well, it would depend on the availability over here, because I have no idea if there's any open tournaments around here.
Yeah, I can send you that stuff, definitely. I think though, unlike down here, you probably don't have the luxury of only having to travel like 20, 30 minutes to an event. You might have to drive an hour and a half.
Something like that.
If you're serious about it, but we'll see. All right. Well, Matthew, let's close out this episode with the one and only Onepiece. And chapter 1056, it happened 2 weeks ago. Actually, no, last week. I'm sorry. It happened last week.
There was not one this week.
Yeah, Shonen Jump is taking their Obon holiday this week, so that's why none of the series had a chapter going. So
that's why they were doing that. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So the publication took a break.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, Matthew. Yeah. So I think we really have to, there's a lot to digest with what happened in this chapter. So I think some of the easy stuff to, see from what happened here. So I'm pulling up the wiki right now, and just kind of go over some of the bullet points about this. But so I guess a couple of the big reveal I'm gonna leave for last, because that's definitely, I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so let's kind of go over some of the stuff that's going to happen with the actual, like, with Wano, and with the Straw Hats in general. Some of the local stuff that's happening. So, basically, Rokugyu's gone. Shanks convinced him to leave the island, so it looks like Luffy and company won't have to fight. Now that we have the Monster Quartet, they were ready to go out, but it's.
I think they would have taken out Rokugyu. They've gotten to that.
I don't. Well, I mean, yeah, for Luffy to be on his feet so quickly like that, that means that he's had to grow a lot more in terms of recovery and stuff like that. I mean, so it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it wasn't an easy. Well, obviously it wasn't an easy battle. I mean, you're taking on a couple of Yonkos, for crying out loud.
And he was out for what, 2-3 days?
Okay, yeah. So he was out. So he was kind of unprotected. So that's, I think, for the Scabbards and Momonosuke to stall Rokugyu to the point that Shanks was able to come in and convince him to stop. But even then, yeah, I think you're right. Luffy and Zoro and Sanji and Jinbei, they would have been ready to go.
They were ready to go. If it hadn't turned out, if things had gone south, they were ready to go.
And again, it's not the Monster Trio anymore. Now it's the Monster Quartet. I can't imagine.
Two of them have conquerors.
Yeah, so I can't imagine
one of the reasons why Rokugyu left was because he couldn't handle Shanks's conquerors hockey.
Yeah, so, and kind of makes me wonder about, like with the other admirals, but I gotta imagine, at least one of the current admirals, and that includes Sakazuki, one of them's bound to have conquerors hockey. But obviously, I think by seeing the Rokugyu withdrawal, not every admiral is going to have conquerors hockey.
Well, we've talked about it because we've only seen armament so far, and now, armament and observation from the admirals.
Right.
So
it's a requirement for if you're gonna, obviously I think it goes like Commodore, Rear Admiral, Vice Admiral, and then Admiral. And in order to become an admiral, you have to have some form of hockey. And
I don't know how you can make it to Vice Admiral and not have some kind of hockey.
Yes, that's very well. No,
I don't know if that's possible. There may be more Vice Admirals, but I legitimately don't know how it's possible, because you're not talking about, Well,
no. In order to be at the admiral rank, doesn't matter which admiral it is, you have to have hockey.
Which kind of makes some of the filler kind of questionable.
Well, filler is non-canonical, so
yeah.
I don't even worry about the filler.
Wait, so even to get at the Commodore, so 1-star admiral rank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Which is why, what was it? Remember the one Commodore that was taken out by Arlong's team? I think his name was like Pudding or something like that.
Yeah, again.
But he wasn't filler. He was in the manga. So he probably had like armament. But
yeah, but that does nothing if you're being taken on by fishermen at, they
In
weren't
their
even,
territory.
in their territory. They tore his ship apart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And once it's like armament is like only good at a certain capacity. So
Right. So anyway, so it looks like peace has been restored. But then the next big thing about what's going on in Wano is that Momonosuke and Hiyori have met Kozuki Sukiyaki. So, and I think
and have the
Sukiyaki
vassals.
and the vassals, Sukiyaki's been kind of beating himself up about not being able to do anything for the past 20 some odd years, but hey, you can only do so much, especially when you're in prison. But again, here's the funny thing that was happened was pretty much all the scabbards knew that the Tengu was Sukiyaki, except for Kinemon, who once again misses out on a lot of things and doesn't realize, what's happening. So again, he did not realize that the Tengu was Sukiyaki. So that's a funny thing there. But here's something that I think will be a serious implication about this meeting now between Kozuki Sukiyaki and Momonosuke and Hiyori, because that means, and I think you know this, Matthew, Sukiyaki is the same as Robin. He has the ability to read the poneglyphs because he taught that to Oden.
Not just that, but he has the knowledge of how to create a poneglyph. Because only the shoguns of Wano knew how to create that. So we originally thought with Sukiyaki's passing that knowledge had gone extinct.
And Oden had that knowledge too.
Yeah, so we
knew. Right, Sukiyaki had supposedly died, and then Oden was executed, which meant that that technology, that knowledge was basically extinct for Wano. But because of the fact that now Sukiyaki is alive, and now that he has these, meetings, he's now met his grandkids, that, hey, this could definitely be something for the future. I mean, if there is the need to create a poneglyph, but definitely, I think that, Sukiyaki should not waste this opportunity to teach his grandkids about how to read the poneglyphs.
And to be able to, if nothing else, at least pass on the knowledge of creating it. You don't have to create a poneglyph, but you need to pass that knowledge on.
Right. So that's an interesting thing. And then the other thing, and it looks like Tsuru, who was the wife of Kinemon, she now knows that she's alive, and she knows that he's alive too. So looks like they're going to be reunited here soon. So that's a good thing. And and then here's the thing that has implications for the makeup of the Straw Hats going forward. So we saw that, because Sukiyaki's around, and because there's a need to protect Momonosuke, so, the scabbards, the ones who are left, and it's basically, right, so Inu Arashi and Nekomamushi are abdicating their positions on Zou, and they will stay in Wano, as part of the scabbard, because that's what they were. But that means that they have, of all the people, designated that Carrot will become the new ruler of the Momoko Dukedom, which is the kingdom on Zou. And I think kind of in a way it's like, it's kind of a bit bittersweet in the fact that, hey, that this means that we're not going to see her on the with the Straw Hats going forward, in the series, because I think that there's just too much implications there that we're seeing with that, which is unfortunate. I would have loved to see Carrot, as part of the crew, because there were so many things that were going for her. Sorry?
So many things pointing towards it.
Right. There were so many hints and indications that, hey, she probably had a very good chance of becoming a part of the crew. But you know, it is what it is. That's how Oda's gonna write it. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, complain about it and stuff. I'm a bit disappointed that that's how it's gonna go, but you know, you can only do so much, right?
Yep.
But what that means, though, is that Yamato, on the other hand, she has made her decision. And she is planning, you know, she's like running off at the end, but she is planning on becoming a part of the Straw Hats because she wants to live like Oden did, which means that my take then would be that she's going to be the log keeper. Now you've got Nami, who's the navigator, so she makes maps, but it's different. That's a different position. So a log keeper, which is what Oden was doing, you know, he was keeping logs of the journey. So I gotta imagine that's what's gonna be Yamato's role going forward.
Yeah, and Robin's archaeological role is also different.
Right, correct. So it does look like the three women who will be on the Straw Hats are going to be taking on. I don't know if I would say that they're administrative roles, more like their record. There's various record keeping that's involved with their duties.
That's essentially administrative roles.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where that is going.
But they're all not, you know, inept.
Right.
I mean, Nami is
Not
still
at all.
technically the weaker of the three, but she's not completely inept.
She's probably she's one of the smartest of the crew.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because of all the studying she had to do, Robin, all the studying she had to do and stuff. So anyway.
Well, and let's face it, Nami had that moment to shine where she was about to get headbutted to death, literally, and she stood her ground and was like, Luffy will not stop until he is the king of the pirates.
Yeah.
But I think she's a little bit stronger with Zeus now.
Yeah, so it looks like Zeus is back in her possession, so that's, you know, and so that's another way of improving her technology. And again, this is technology that Usopp produced.
Yeah.
You know, the irony of that. But we do know that Pluton is on Wano, and
didn't Robin reveal that to
yeah, she revealed that to the rest of the crew, so they know.
Yeah, and Frankie's like, what?
Yeah. So Shinobu has become younger. Apparently, she's taking on Tama to be an apprentice in ninjutsu. So, and then I think the other thing is that
the three worst generation crews are deciding where to go.
Yep, they are going along. So the Straw Hats and Heart Pirates are going separate ways because the reason why they made that alliance was to take down Kaido. And I'll tell you,
Pirates too.
You know, the irony of it all was that I don't think Law definitely did not think that things were going to turn out the way that they did.
Yeah, the whole reason why he was doing it was he wanted to hurt
Doflamingo.
And it went further than it did. But he was a man of his word, and he was like, I gotta finish this to the end, So,
and then Law was a little bit nice because he gave Kid a copy of the road poneglyph. So I guess, you know, it's
but does Law and Kid have the copies of the rest of the real poneglyphs?
That's a good question.
Because if they only have that one copy, then
they're a little bit behind.
Yeah, Luffy's got what? Three copies? Like the three road poneglyphs?
Yeah, because what does he have? He's got the one from Wano, right? He's got the one from Big Mom.
Wasn't number 3 on Fishman Island?
I don't know if it was Fishman Island or maybe it was Zoe. see here. Where are they? Okay. Ella Poneglyph. Road Poneglyph. So, let's see here. Yeah, the one in Zoe. So that's, which I gotta imagine then that means that Law would have gotten a copy of the one in Zoe, definitely. And then whether or not, you know, the Straw Hats shared Big Mom's road poneglyph with Law is a whole nother story. So that'll be interesting. And then they mentioned a man with a burn scar that could be the key to the war for the One Piece, which I'll have to go back and read that again because I think I completely missed that. I'm not sure what that even means, to be honest. Really can't tell.
There's several guys with burn scars. That could mean anything.
All right, so let's get into the closeout, the closeout of this chapter, and so this would explain why Buggy became an emperor. So let's get right into it, Matthew. Buggy founded a group, and it's called Cross Guild. Now, what's interesting about this Cross Guild is that they, like the Marines, put out bounties for pirates, and they go after them. What's interesting about this organization is that they, in turn, will put out bounties on Marines. And I think that's a way of trying to, I don't know if that's a way to
level the playing field.
Level the playing field, maybe intimidate some of the Marines. You know, that might be something. So, you know, that means that, hey, you're probably going to have bounty hunters now, because bounty hunters really aren't bound to the law per se, so they could be going after.
Well, let's face it, the only bounty hunters we ever saw in the story was Zoro pre-joining the Straw Hats.
And then Johnny and Yosaku.
Yeah, and then Johnny and Yosaka. It's like bounties just... it's like, let's face it, who is a bounty hunter?
Very
like, true. I couldn't... like, unless Blackbeard got Ace's bounty. I mean,
so Matthew,
that's what I think of.
Like Buggy did with the Buggy's Delivery Service, you know, he recruited several powerful pirates to the organization, which, in that way, it you know, led the world government to recognize him as a Shichibukai at that time. But then once his Shichibukai privileges were revoked, he kind of had to think of some alternative methods to try and stay out of trouble. So now we thought, you know, well, let me go with the first surprising reveal of who ended up. And I see this. I don't see them as these individuals as having submitted to Buggy as much as being in this is definitely an alliance, because these pirates, you know, their caliber, they're not submitting.
They're high above Buggy.
So our first pirate, infamous pirate who joined with Buggy, would be Luffy's first, you know, Shichibukai encounter. Well, actually, no. I should say his encounter fight, and that would be Crocodile. And we knew Crocodile was going to be in the New World, and I'm very sure that this means that Cross Guild also has Das Bonus with him, because Das Bonus was going to follow Crocodile into the New World. So the fact that Crocodile
they had a mutual respect relationship that just did not apply to anyone else in what's it called? In
Alabasta, or in
no,
Baroque Works?
in Baroque Works.
Yeah.
They had a mutual respect for each other that just you know, because yeah, they had a mutual respect for each other where it's like, you know, essentially Das Bones followed Crocodile's every orders, and Crocodile clearly valued him as a
Yeah, as a
oh yeah, that
as
is
a
another
warrior.
thing is the fact that Baroque Works were made up of
They were made up of bounty hunters.
yeah.
That's right. So,
Maybe that's another thing is that Buggy is utilizing that former Baroque Works network.
maybe. I mean, Crocodile may have some.
I mean, we know that most of the what's it called
officers.
most of the officer agents were basically chilling out in were they chilling out in Alabastas?
I think they were at first, and then a couple of them got captured and taken to a Marine base. And then I think.
Where are they chilling now?
That's a good question. Because let's see here. Well,
okay, we know that Bon Clay is in Impel Down in level what, right. 4.5?
Yeah.
We know that what's number 3's actual name? Mr. 3?
Mr. 3. Gosh, it's on the tip of my.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue too.
It starts with a. Oh yeah, Galdino.
Yeah, Galdino just automatically joined.
So
Buggy.
You gotta imagine Galdino is in there too, because it's gonna be the remnants of Buggy's delivery service. So you're gonna have those level 6. You know, those level 6. What do you call those? The level 6
you're gonna have Alvida. You're gonna have his former crew.
Right. Well, yeah, Moji and Kabaji. Moji and Kabaji were his 2 right-hand men, plus the lion. And then you got Galdino was also in there. And then, Alvida was also in there too. So then, but other than that, when it came to the, let's see here. Okay, so yeah, what was really funny is when they did that post, you know, the short story thing that Oda did, and that ended up revealing. I don't know if that actually was the one that revealed all their names and stuff. But I think probably the Vivri cards were the ones where they, you know, you'll get a lot of people whose names are revealed because of the Vivri cards. But anyway, Zala was Miss Doublefinger, and she was the one running the Spiders Cafe. Now, let me see here. So, yeah, what they did was they made a new Spiders Cafe, and let's see here. So, okay.
Did they list where?
According to the wiki, it says that it's on an unknown island. So they're not on Alabasta anymore. And judging by how well things are going for them out there at the end of their story, I doubt that they're going to leave that anytime soon.
Yeah, because let's see, that little group consisted of.
You had so the names. The names. Okay, so their new names revealed are. You got Zala, who was Ms. Doublefinger.
Doublefinger.
You had Marianne, who was Ms. Whatever Galdino's partner agent name was. Gosh, now I gotta look. Oh, wasn't it like Golden Week or something like that?
Yeah, Miss Golden Week.
Yeah, she was Miss Golden Week. So you got. I don't know if this is pronounced Babe or Bobby, but that was Mr. 4. And then Drophy was Miss Merry Christmas. Mikta was Miss Valentine. Jem was Mr. 5. And then Lasso is also with them. who was
the
the
dog.
Yeah.
So they're just all chilling at the
They're all chilling at the new Spiders Cafe, So,
well,
but anyway,
as I recall, didn't they give Des Bones and Crocodile the chance to join them, and they just decided, we're just gonna chill.
Yeah, we're gonna chill out at Impel
whatever the
Down
main
and
base
stuff.
they were at.
Yeah. So anyway, so there we are. We got Crocodile. In an alliance. I'm calling this an alliance. It's definitely not. He's working for.
Yeah, because there's no way that it's like we all know based off of the Impel Down break, he looks down upon Buggy. Which I think I think is definitely not unjustified. He's leagues above Buggy in terms of skills. And then Mihawk just destroyed both of them. Oh yeah, we didn't talk. Oh yeah, did I spoil that?
Yeah. So our second person, we thought he was gonna make an alliance with Shanks, but it's Mihawk, Dracula Mihawk, the strongest swordsman in the world, has also joined Cross Guild. So you got three Shibukai in the mix, but you've got the strongest swordsman in the world. So I think
and founder of Baroque Works.
Right. So here's the thing. Here's how I think that they all kind of got together, because they were. What's the one place that they were all at the same time, Matthew?
Marineford.
Yes, Marineford. They're all there. So again, I don't know how Buggy contacted them, unless it was the other way around. I'm very sure that Buggy was trying. Buggy obviously, because he was in the middle of trying to sneak out the back door during the Marine invasion, of Buggy's delivery service.
He had to have contacted them. There's no reason why
that, or you do
Mihawk
know that,
or Crocodile would reach out to them.
Well, and let's think about this. I have to imagine that it did not take Mihawk long to finish his battle with the Marines who came to apprehend him.
They should have sent. It's like if you're taking on. It's like Buggy. Understandable.
Mihawk.
I'm gonna throw out some examples. So Buggy, understandable target. They just send send out whomever. He ran because he knew he couldn't deal with anyone they were throwing after him. Boy, Hancock had been more of a challenge. Probably should have sent an admiral at her. Mihawk. It's like the strongest swordsman in the world. It's like you needed an admiral minimum.
Did you not see that he cut the glacier that who was it that made the glacier at Marineford?
Who's the former admiral?
Aokiji.
Aokiji made the glacier, and he cut the glacier.
Mihawk have that thing. It's like, did you not remember this particular thing about Mihawk before you sent some Marines after him? So I'm almost wondering.
This could not have been. I forgot what. This could not have been Sakazuki's mentality. Someone else lower on the totem pole had to have been sending those people out.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, and what's the name of I forgot who's Newgate who's Whitebeard's son, alleged son?
Oh gosh.
Is it Edward Weevil or Weevil New? Edward Weevil. It's like, okay, he's understandable. Send the people out. Buggy, understandable. Send the people out. You could send some rear admirals out against those two, but Boa Hancock and Mihawk.
They both participated
They
in
should
the
have
war.
been sending one admiral minimum. They really should have been realistically sending 2 admirals up against Mihawk. Take your 2 best, send them up against Mihawk, and then send the last one against Boa Hancock. That's what they really should have been doing.
But here's my theory as to how maybe Buggy got out of his jam, is that Mihawk finished off the plebs that were sent after him, and then he's like, okay, well, time to go on a journey. So he gets back into his little
dinghy.
boat.
It's been officially called a dinghy.
So he gets into his dinghy and he's floating around, and then miraculously he arrives to Buggy's location, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take out all these Marines here too. And then Buggy's like, let's join hands. And
of course Mihawk doesn't have anything else to do, so he's like,
well, and here's one thing another thing I'm kind of curious. So Mihawk is friends with Shanks, right? And it is common knowledge in the world, as long as you're paying attention to stuff, that Buggy and Shanks were both on Roger's crew, which means that Mihawk is privy to that information as well. And he's probably might be a little bit too prideful to join with Shanks. But he's probably thinking that he could probably use Buggy to, certain ends. So he's like, let's join forces, is what I
he has enough, he has enough mental acuity to know that from the beginning that Luffy was not someone to have ever been trifled with. He already knows this kid's got something special about him. So he's too prideful to deal with Shanks, because Shanks is
right.
has similar mental acuity, whereas Buggy is like, I can manipulate this guy.
And I'm wondering, and again, the real question is, how did Crocodile end up joining?
It is possible that both Crocodile and Mihawk are using.
Oh, definitely, they're both using
Buggy to their own ends.
Yeah, but and probably, and the reason because of that is because Buggy probably has access to a lot of resources. He probably has access to a lot of resources.
Oh, yes, and it's like 2 years building up Buggy's delivery service, and that was used as the base of Cross Guild, and it's possible that, again, like I said, that even though Crocodile's goal was to dissolve Baroque Works once he took over Alabasta, he probably still does have access to that network of of all the agents, whoever front, because we know that all the agents were going to be loyal to the very end, whether it's what's left of the frontier agents, whether it's I have no idea whatever happened to the Unluckies. Did they join the
Marines.
Officer agents?
No, they joined the Marines.
They joined the Marines.
They were,
what's left of the millions, what's left of the billions, who are all officer agent, who are all Baroque Works 8 members, and were bounty hunters before that. He still probably has access to that network. So that's basically the only people I could possibly think of that would be willing to go after Marines. Is that he basically probably put a call out to his own network and said, these are bounties against Marines, because we all knew these people were if they were part of Baroque Works, they were already morally
corrupt.
Yeah, corrupt to begin with. So if they're going to say go after these Marines, some of whom probably do not have any idea how bad the absolute justice of the Marines are, because let's face it, there are good people in the Marines. Just like there are good people who are pirates, like the Straw Hats. So
anyway, this is definitely 3 Shichibukai have bound together, and I think, but also I think Matthew,
this would definitely make any kind of battle between factions a lot more intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm almost wondering. So I'm almost wondering. You got to imagine that all the former Shichibukai now are probably going to be making alliances, definitely. So Hancock will probably ally with someone. Who it is, I don't know.
Well, if I'd be willing to bet money, I'd say Luffy. I don't think she considers herself his lover, even if he's.
Well, here's the thing, because Luffy's a Yonko now, he can claim that.
Amazon Lily.
Yeah, he can claim Amazon Lily because he's definitely gonna claim Fishman Island, and he's got people that are gonna fight for him at Fishman Island. He can claim Amazon Lily, and he'll definitely have people that are gonna back him up there. And I think also, and the really interesting thing is how Barto's been kind of making dents. He's been
the whole reason why Shanks is decided not to go to what's it called was because he needed to go to Barto first deal with Barto.
So,
which is going to be interesting because that's going to be the first engagement head to head between a member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, which is essentially Luffy's Yonko alliance,
right,
and the Red Hair Pirates. So this is going to be the first engagement between the current set standard of the Yonko powers.
Yeah.
I really still think that there's probably going to be some kind of alliance between. Oh, here's an idea. 2 Yonko alliances. Shanks and Luffy versus Blackbeard and Buggy.
I don't think Buggy would be open to it. Or I don't think. In my opinion, I don't think Blackbeard or Buggy would be open to allying with each other. In my opinion.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking of is if Luffy, Shanks, and Buggy made a super alliance against Blackbeard.
Yeah, the other thing though is I don't think Shanks really wants to make an alliance with Luffy because he still wants to go after the One Piece, and Luffy, I think, recognizes that in order to get to the One Piece, he's gonna have to defeat the other emperors because he made that statement before. So that means that he's prepared to fight Shanks when the time comes. So I think though Shanks will have a lot more implications to the story, but
I'm still trying to think of how in the world a battle like that would happen.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly thinking are one of the two going to hesitate? Because
we'll see.
Here's how I would envision Luffy hesitating is he somehow gets a shot against Shanks, but it's on his left side. And
then the trauma of that event.
Yeah, and it's like if he has a flashback and he just hesitates for 1 minute. The only other situation is Shanks having, I don't know if it would be like a kill shot or a devastating shot, and him having a flashback of young Luffy. Or maybe both happening during the battle.
All right, Matthew. Well, that was definitely
or maybe they have those moments, but they don't hesitate.
Yeah. So anyway, Matthew, we'll need to close out this episode. So Matthew, where can our audience find us for our podcast episodes?
Well, let's see. You said you connected the YouTube to the what's it called?
I need to still do that.
Okay.
We're
Once you do that, okay. So currently we are on YouTube,
Rumble.
For the video podcast, we're on YouTube, Rumble, and then once you connect it,
yeah, we're gonna sync Odyssey also.
Yeah, we'll sync Odyssey.
We'll look at some other platforms.
And for the audio podcast, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.
And then we also do have a presence on Twitter, although we haven't been kind of active on it recently. But our plan is to try and use Twitter to reach out to some possible individuals to interview, because we would like to do that as part of our format going forward for the podcast. So you can find us on Twitter also at Sambros, I think is the at Samurai Brothers. I think it's
at Samurai Bros.
Yeah.
It might be at the Samurai Bros.
Just to make sure of for now. Yeah, so we are at the Samurai Bros, so make sure that you follow us there. And then Matthew is he runs MMA Freak, so make sure to follow him at Matthew Salzer on Twitter. The MMA Freak official Twitter is at MMA Freakout, and then the website you can visit at mma-freak.com. And then I do plan on putting out some content going forward as long as time allows me to. Obviously, we don't do this full time. We do this because we just love to talk about sports and Japanese culture and manga and anime. And so we're hoping that we can make some more fun stuff, more fun content going forward.
And stay tuned to my personal YouTube channel. I will be putting stuff out primarily related to MicroCon, but also I do need to put the stuff out for our family trip to Hawaii. And then that should take me probably into October, at which point I'll be doing some. I always try to do something Halloween themed every year, so I'll be doing some stuff there.
All right. So once again, Matthew, thank you for your insightful commentary, and to all our audience members, hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will be talking to you again soon.